Thank you very much. It is a great honor to stand in front of you. I commend each of you for this milestone in your education. And I commend your parents, your family, your loved ones for supporting you to get to this milestone. And what I would like to do is share with you one of the greatest lessons I ever learned. My dad, Nelson Smith, was a tie cutter. I'm the son of a tie cutter. And you may ask, what is that? Back in the 1930s, they would pay $0.25 per tie, a railroad tie. And he in Adair County cut down a tree and then shape it into a railroad tie with a broad axe. Take it on a horse-bound wagon to Stillwell and sell it for $0.25 apiece. He graduated from Sequoia High School. It was a boarding school that punished him for speaking our language. Things have changed dramatically since then. But as I was growing up, he always told me this: get your education. Get your education. I didn't know what it meant, but I knew I'd better get my education, because every night at the table he would look at me and my three brothers. Get your education. Robert Hutchins says the object of education is to prepare the young to educate themselves through their lives. So following my dad's admonition, I was the first in my family to graduate from college because he told me to get my education. It was an undergrad degree in education from the University of Georgia. And as I was finishing that degree, it was right around 1973, and I watched on TV The Conflict at Wounded Knee, where the federal government was challenging the AIM, the American Indian Movement in South Dakota. It made me wonder, what did those guys on the federal side know that I didn't know that might prepare me for better things in life? There was something missing. I didn't understand the controversy. And one of my professors, he says, you know, you could go to graduate school. It had never came to my mind that I could go to graduate school. Found a scholarship, got a master's degree in public administration from the University of Wisconsin. I then returned to the Cherokee Nation and worked for a number of years. I worked for Ross Swimmer. He was a lawyer. First lawyer I had ever met in my entire life at the age of 25. Growing up, I thought lawyers and doctors and those kind of things, bankers, were sort of demigods that I could never approach. But I tell this story to his face. I found out that if he could be a lawyer, anybody could. And so he let me off 2 hours a day, and I traveled to Tulsa from Tahlequah to go to night school to become a lawyer, because I wanted to know what somebody else knew that could help me at the Cherokee Nation. In fact, after I graduated from law school, Bobby and I moved to Tulsa, and we actually took classes here on the central campus in logic. I took classes in pre-engineering. I took classes in machine shop in the northeast campus, because there was something I wanted to know that somebody else knew that I didn't know that I thought might help me. So let me just try to wind this all together. There's great Cherokee wisdom in this ceremony called going to water. Early in the morning, you find rushing water. And you have a prayer. And the prayer is simple, and it's this: Creator, let me learn from all that I observe. Let me learn from all that I observe. So when the sky becomes lit, when the sun comes up in the east, it begins to show shadows. And as it rises in the sky, the shadows change, your perspective change. You see things in a different way. You learn from the same objects because they're illuminated differently. You learn from all you observe. And as the sun goes down in the evening, the shadows change again. Your perspective changes again. You can learn from the same object again. And of course, the metaphor is very clear. In the course of 24 hours, you can learn. But perhaps the stronger aspect of that metaphor is this: you learn when you're a child, you learn when you're middle age, you learn when you're an elder. You learn all your life. Life is a long-lasting occupation, challenge, opportunity, and honor. So, Here's what I ask you to remember from this evening. When you get 40 feet outside the doors, everything I would have said may have dissipated, but this is what I want you to remember. Seriously, if there's one thing I can share with you, my greatest lesson that I've learned after going through all those degrees, it's this. You don't have to have degrees. You have to want to learn. And this is a lesson. Do you know the difference between a genius and a doofus? Seriously. A doofus is somebody who knows so little, he thinks he knows everything. And around campaign times, politicians are the best example of doofuses. Because they promise you anything, they have an answer on the spot, and the reality of it is our government is much more complex than a simple political soundbite. So you have to ask yourself, are you a doofus? On the other hand, the opposite side of that coin is a genius. And sometimes we think geniuses are a bit stuffy, but listen to this definition. A genius is somebody who knows so much, they know they don't know everything. But they know how to go about asking and finding out what they don't know that they need to know to make a good decision. There's a great humility in being a genius because you know there's a world out there with answers, and there's a way to get to those answers to make your life better, more happy, more healthy, to protect yourself, to support your family, to make every breath that the Creator has given you rich and full. This evening, I ask you to learn from all that you observe, and 40 feet outside the door, make the decision that you want to be a genius rather than a doofus. Well done.